Hey everyone, I know I've been on a long hiatus for making creepy Easter egg videos, but I figured it was time to create another one. I won't waste any time, so let's jump right into it. Here are 21 more creepy Easter eggs in video games. So recently, I've been working on 100%ing Red Dead Redemption 2. It's been great revisiting the game and exploring some of the creepier locations and Easter eggs the game has to offer. In Red Dead, there are multiple hidden shacks which count towards the 100% completion. North of Emerald Ranch is one of these shacks. I first stumbled upon this place and intended to loot whatever I could find, but I was completely creeped out when I found out what was inside. Bunk beds filled with corpses of what seemed to be a cult or religious fanatics. Facing you the second you walk in is a corpse sitting in a chair at a desk at the far end of the shack. Approaching it, you can loot a note called the Mysterious Sermon, which describes their savior, voyager of time and galaxies, returning to take them to the promised land at the end of the second hour under the half moon. If you're brave enough, go to Hani's Bethel at 2 a.m. under the half moon, and you'll see that these people may not have been all that crazy. These next few are going to be some Nintendo Easter eggs. Here's one from Nintendo Labo House. Apparently, if your creature is sleeping and you turn the lights out at night, some spooky poltergeist activity will happen. Here's a 30-second clip of what can happen. If you let it go long enough, eventually what looks like a king from a deck of cards will attempt to murder the creature, waking him abruptly. I just want to get this out of the way. I fucking love Breath of the Wild. I actually somewhat recently 100%ed the game, and yes, I got the golden lump of shit from Hestia. Part of the 100% requirement is visiting every unique location in the game. One of these locations is a bit unsettling and may destroy your childhood. To get there, if you glide from a central tower heading east and make your way to this location on the map, you'll find the ranch ruins. Just be ready to take out a guardian and some mounted bokoblins as well. After they're dealt with, you can observe the ranch ruins. Now I know what you're thinking, what's the significance? Well, if you take a closer look or check it out from an aerial view, you'll notice that this is none other than Lon Lon Ranch, a location fondly associated with many people's childhood nostalgia from Ocarina of Time. It's unsettling to see what was once a lively ranch with pleasant music to just lie in ruin, lonely and forgotten. If you bring your horse, you can still enjoy the track and jumps, though. Or not. This one isn't a confirmed Easter egg, but something pretty bizarre. In the Metro Kingdom, right after you land and depart from your ship, head down that electrical line and turn to your right. See that guy jumping in the corner? You can take a closer look by heading over to the periscope and zoom in. There's clearly a man there jumping up and down looking off to who knows what. If you head back down and head towards him, you'll see he completely vanishes. If you move away from him, he will reappear. I couldn't find any information regarding whether or not this was confirmed to be a ghost or anything, but it's still pretty strange. Especially since Mario Odyssey is an extremely well-polished game, it would be unlikely that it would be overlooked. Still, it's an interesting mystery, especially since the characters walking near him don't disappear from the same distance, which rules out a draw distance glitch. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a surprising game to find some creepiness, but then again, perhaps not, since Mario games have quite a few creepy Easter eggs to be found. Regardless, in episode 16, Dodgy Doors at Boo Mansion, navigate to the back of the mansion, which seems to be rather small for a mansion, and wait a full 5 minutes. After that, you'll see some ghostly handprints appear that are pretty much the same height as Toad. Additionally, in Captain Toad, in episode 2, level 4, Sinister Street Signs, if you wait 5 minutes after activating the P switch, you will see another ghost fly out of the barred window at ground level. In The Witcher 3, there's a lot of activities, quests, and creepy stuff, like banging on a unicorn, and one of your potential love interests being a whore since her room key is a common item. Gee, thanks Yennefer, I'm so glad condoms weren't invented yet. Anyway, in the Lindenvale Cemetery, you'll find 2 angel statues that are odd. If you complete the side quest, The Merry Widow, and return to the cemetery after some time has passed, you will now see 2 angel statues in the front of the building. Enter the building, and when you come out, you will notice they've changed position. And Geralt will audibly acknowledge this.
Strange.
If you look away from them, you may find that they have moved closer to you. This is a reference to the Weeping Angels in Doctor Who. When they are not being observed by another being, Weeping Angels can move very quickly and silently. Their phenomenal speed allows for them to close distances of meters in literally the blink of an eye. Sound familiar? After you enter the building again and leave, they will vanish. Another Easter egg for The Witcher 3. If you're traveling at night via boat, you might come across a ghost ship. At a specific time of night and a specific location in the waters of Skellige, a ship emerges only for a brief moment. After it travels a short distance, it will submerge into the water and disappear. I haven't decided to dive down and see what might lie beneath, but perhaps there's something down there. The Evil Within has a scene that is itself an Easter egg, and clearly a nod to one of the most popular survival horror games of all time, Resident Evil. The Evil Within creates the gruesome scene of the first time you encounter a zombie feasting upon a corpse in the original Resident Evil. It doesn't acknowledge your presence at first, but then it takes a break from its meal to slowly turn its head and reveal it is a member of the living dead. To compare, here's the original scene from Resident Evil. Speaking of Resident Evil, in Resident Evil 4, in Chapter 1-3, you can actually get an achievement or trophy during the boss fight with Del Lago. Don't start the fight by entering the boat, just shoot the water a few times and eventually this happens. In Slender The Arrival, there's a 4th wall breaking Easter egg if you manage to get out of bounds. When you leave the playable area and get out of bounds, sometimes by clipping through certain areas and free falling to the abyss, you'll see a pop-up message saying, "Not even a bug in this game will save you from me." And then Slender Man will murder you to death. Speaking of Slender Man, there's another out-of-bounds Easter egg in the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare game. When playing Garden Ops on the map Zomboss Estate, Slender Man can be seen at the rear of the mansion through the trees at the back of the map. In Friday the 13th, the game, you can find the corpse head of Pamela Voorhees, aka Jason's mom. In the original movie, the character Alice Hardy beheads Pamela and Jason creates an altar in honor of her, placing her sweater and head upon it. In Fallout New Vegas, in the town of Nipton, after you encounter Caesar's Legion, you will be able to investigate the area freely. If you head northeast, then due east of the Legion's occupied saloon, you can find two skeletons on the ground outside of the remains of a destroyed house. One of them named Owen and the other Baru. Any Star Wars fan would likely recognize their names. In Star Wars A New Hope, a nod to the iconic scene when Luke travels back home and discovers their burnt home and corpses. In GTA Vice City, in Little Haiti, there's an undertaker business called Funeraria Romero. Behind the building, there are a few graves dug out, and one of them has a skeleton who is missing one of his arms. It is implied that the corpses are used in a nearby butcher's shop called Carnicero Romero, as the shop has an arm likely belonging to the skeleton, a brain, and a box reading human organ for transplant, on display in the shop window. The next two Easter eggs are from Doom 2016. It has many references and hidden Easter eggs throughout the game. One of them takes a lot of digging. In the Doom 2016 original soundtrack, the track Cyber Demon is hiding images within the audio file. If you open it with software allowing you to view the spectrograph and zoom in a bit on the spectrograph, you can see hidden images of the number 666 and a pentagram repeating at certain parts of the song. Additionally, in Doom 2016, there are many gruesome death animations of both the enemies and your own character. There are some hidden locations in some of the levels which have the original Doom graphics. Like you've stepped into an operating system timeline to get back the glory days of the original Doom on Windows 95. If you manage to get killed inside one of these areas, there's a chance your head will roll out in front of you, and inside, you can see the pixelated face of the original Doom guy. Another welcome Easter egg from the death animations occurs when you jump into lava. Sometimes you will see a somewhat lifeless arm perform one final gesture of giving a thumbs up. This is of course a reference to Terminator 2 when Arnold is lowered into the lava and gives a thumbs up to John Connor. To wrap up, the final four Easter eggs are going to be from one of my favorite games of all time, GTA San Andreas. To start, there are plenty of myths and urban legends regarding the game, many of which were never proven, such as Bigfoot and Beverly Johnson's ghost. One of the very few proven myths is the ghost graffiti. There is a patch of graffiti located in the Vinewood Cemetery on a wall behind the mausoleum, which also has an Easter egg, but I'll get into that in a minute. The graffiti on the wall reads "Families for Life" and is only visible at night from 2000 to 600 hours and then abruptly disappears. In the same location, if you were to venture inside the mausoleum, you can find a cozy setup with a TV, some pizzas, and a couch, which is a reference to Buffy the Vampire Slayer's character Spike, who had a very similar setup. Multiple tombs also appear to be open and empty. The Zombotech Corporation is a large commercial industrial business organization featured in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. The headquarters is located in San Fierro. If you find the building and head towards the rear, you will see some elevators, but one of them is marked as a zombie lab. There's also a welcome sign on the front which reads, Zombotech, Sinister Zombie Virus Research Corporation, welcomes visitors. This corporation is likely a parody of the Umbrella Corporation from Resident Evil. Last but certainly not least is probably my favorite location in San Andreas, the Little Probe Inn. This place has tons of references both in the real world and in-game. I'll try to cover them all. First off, its name is a reference to the Lil Alien located in Rachel, Nevada, which is just north of Area 51. The name is obviously a reference to the alleged real-world accounts of alien probing during alien abductions. It's located down the road from Area 69, the secret government base in the game where you get the jetpack, and you can actually hear over the intercom the employees referencing aliens on the base. It is also located next to Dry Lake, similarly to the Dried Groom Lake in Nevada next to Area 51. On the interior, there are pictures of UFOs on the walls, not to mention the flying saucer on the pole out front. There's a mysterious map of San Andreas inside with marks on it, and surprisingly, the same map can be found on Torino's ranch. In the back room, you can see a beta map of San Andreas. The locations pinpointed on the map are believed to have something to do with the myths. One mark is in the river between Shady Creeks and Back O Beyond, and the others appear at Easter Bay Chemicals, Area 69, the Inn itself, Green Palms, and Arco del Oeste. The player can access the Hidden Interiors universe by jumping on the crates and boxes in the back room. After some time, the player may go through the ceiling and get popped into the Interiors universe. It took me quite a few tries, but I was happy to finally get footage of this. Well, that's going to be it for this video. If you want more creepy Easter eggs, check out my first video of 65 creepy Easter eggs in video games. I plan to make more videos in the future, preferably more frequently, so subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time.